All right. It is another episode of Kandid Kids TV. I'm here on a Motivation Monday, and I am here with the one and only, one of my good friends, homie since 1962, with
Legit.
A. Walton. All
What
right.
up?
So we're going to get started. My first question for you is, what started your passion for acting?
I feel like the creative freedom. Like I love always loved exploring just the nature of why people do what they do. And even as a kid, I was just kind of into that. And when I was younger, I did a couple of plays and I was involved in some creative art things that was at the school I was in, the middle school I was in. And it kind of came back around because when I left college after I'd been playing football and been an athlete, and I still kept writing poetry. So I do some spoken word, and I kind of went into the music route, and I started writing songs and then rapping and doing my things. K Dub the Truth, that whole, you remember that era?
I do.
So and so I still in me, and then now I'm flowing to Source Radiance. But when I did a performance at this entertainment event, and when I got off stage, a couple of these people asked me if I had ever thought about acting, and I was like, yeah, I'm down to act. I love films, movies, and plays and stuff. So I went and auditioned, and I booked a lead for this independent film, and it was their first independent film project, and then my first acting gig, and we end up being, now we're awesome friends and starting a production company together. Um, However,
Hey,
the I got you. Don't worry. We're gonna bring it all in. We building the pieces up so we can get the whole squad in. Uh, and it was cool. Like after the second day of filming, I was like, "This, I'm doing this. Like I want to do this." And I just started diving headfirst into it, and really kind of developing the craft and the skill set of it. And that's kind of, and I think it is that desire of exploring emotional capacity, the patterns of human behavior, storytelling. I love all of that. Every dynamic involved in it is something near and dear to my heart.
well, yeah, you've always been like a real deep thinker as long as I remember.
Yes,
So,
100%, 100%.
how, okay. So you told me how you got your start. So, and that was where I was going to lead to. You just took on my thunder because I was going to ask you, were you still writing for your music? Because I know you was doing your Tupacs. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You just took my little
Legit.
thunder. So
Oh,
you
it's
so
all
you are
good.
still writing.
Still, I haven't put out a project in a few years. I think the last one I put out was under kind of the name I go on my Instagram now is Source Radiance, and that was
Okay.
a collaboration project with a buddy of mine who goes by DJ Momentology. He's a really dope producer and DJ, and we did a collaborative album that was something that was more of this space I've been in with this kind of spiritual growth and practice, and bringing more of that interdimensional, greater consciousness vibe to it, even though my music's always been conscious and more of that like revolutionary spirit and speaking to something greater. I wanted to bring more of this spiritual flavor to it, and so I put that project out in 2018, like January of 2018, and that's the last thing I've released. And
Mhm.
then I was working on putting together like a meditation album so I can offer some of that like support to everybody and kind of tapping in. And I still feel that calling because it's in me. I still freestyle a lot, and so I started kind of just, I still jot down some verses and still been on my phone doing that. And I feel
Yeah.
like after I get a couple of other things finished with the book I'm writing and a couple of things I want to,
Come on,
I
boy.
want to get the, yeah, it's time to get this practice out. Creative has been, I'm telling you, the practice has grown crazy. So I'm now, and it's been in demand and requested for a long time, for years, and I still hadn't like dedicated time to it. And now it's like, okay, actually get all this insight and practice and deep thought provoking wisdom into something that can live beyond you, and really put it out there. So I've been now kind of in the mode of that. So once I get the first, I'm writing the first of what's going to be a 3-book series. Plus I have the
Okay.
actual entirety of my practice that I've written up.
Hmm.
So when I finish that first one, then I'm gonna take some time to get the music flow going again. I'll see what I'll play with in that. So it's still in me. I'm still keeping it
Hmm.
there. When it's
So I
in
was
us,
gonna
it doesn't
ask
go
you, do
away.
you
So
are you expanding it more to like doing scripts and movie
yeah,
writing for movies now?
yeah. Actually, I did a years ago, probably like 5 years ago at this point. I was writing scripts a lot more, and I had actually directed a pilot
Mm,
that we had a couple of issues business wise, so things kind of fell apart. But I wrote, and it was the first project I directed, and I've written a couple of other scripts before, and now I kind of feel that surge going back. So I've been exploring new ideas of things to build up with, and that's something I want to keep endeavoring because I love that too. The ability to, I love writing in general. So
right.
whether it's poetry, insights, storytelling, or scripts, so I definitely want to bring that back in, and I can
Hmm.
feel that call to do it too because I have all kinds of crazy dope ideas for movies and stories and stuff. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Look, I'm getting back on my writing thing because
do
quarantine
it.
got
Yeah,
you.
yeah, you got that skill
Listen.
set too. You better get on it.
Oh no, let me
Yeah,
tell you what I got on during the
yeah,
quarantine. During the quarantine, I came up, me and a good friend of mine, because I'm a DJ now. I'm sure you didn't know that.
legit.
But
Okay, okay.
we created a game called Singadoo. So that, like, during the quarantine, we created that game. We had it like on hold for about a year because we've been working on it. But with busy life, people working and didn't
For
have time
sure.
to actually put it into fruition. And then when quarantine came, it was like, now's the time to drop it. And
Yeah.
literally every time I get the game in, we sell out. We're sold out right now, waiting for the new thing, and we got pre-orders.
Nice.
So I'm gonna give you some more information about that later. But yeah,
For
that's what I
sure.
did during my
Congrats on
quarantine
that. That's
time.
dope. That's dope though. I love
So
it.
I mean, that look, you need to get you one. I'm gonna tell you what it is, because
Okay.
yeah, you'll love it. I'm promising you. Matter of fact,
Okay.
we need to play. We might need to play a little round, and then you'll kind of see what it is, and then we'll go from there.
Nice. All right. Let me know.
All right. So my next question is: now I know you've been in shape since forever. So I'm gonna ask you, what is your favorite cheat meal?
My favorite cheat meal. Um, I don't know. I don't even consider them cheat meals because I just love it. But
Okay.
it's probably still pizza. Like I love pizza. I'm gonna eat pizza forever. It's
Oh
it's
yeah.
the greatest thing on earth to me. And I'm pretty steady with what I eat, but I'm also open to a lot of different things. And I still keep that fitness mentality and at the
So are
forefront
you working
of my
like with the
awareness.
quarantine? Were you able to work out every day, or did you kind
Yeah,
of? Okay.
yeah. Because I stopped working out at gyms a long time ago. Like
Okay.
so I use a lot of like body weight work, calisthenics, suspension training, and rings. And so a lot of stuff I can do at my house, and
Hmm.
also just kind of out at parks and things. So that's kind of how I've actually been working out over the past handful of years. So for me, it was like I didn't miss a beat with the
So
quarantine.
you didn't think about adding that to your book of regiment so everybody can get like you?
Well, it's a part of the practice is like it talks with body, mind, spirit. So that's an aspect of
Okay.
it. So that's included for sure. Yeah.
Okay. And you need to
Yeah.
go ahead and put the meal plan in there too,
Got you.
because
Meal
I'm
plan,
trying to get away
ginseng,
from
some
carbs,
other,
but it's a struggle. It's a struggle every day.
legit. They're so good. One of the reasons why I love pizza. I love it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you, what do you like the most about acting?
I think the freedom to play within emotions, because part of my practice is really understanding the true nature of emotions, how they function, and how to live in the mastery of them. And I
Okay.
feel like in acting, you have the freedom to play with them and almost without consequence. And I say that loosely because there'll be consequences if you're not responsible about it, obviously,
Right.
and professional about it. But that space of being able to tell stories and play with emotions, that some emotions I haven't even felt as much anymore in my life because of the inner work I've done. But
Mm,
because I'm tapped into knowing how to access emotions immediately, I can bring that to acting and play with it in the freedom of telling a story. And I love that, like the creative ways of tapping into how to convey a message and the interplay with characters and really yeah, like that part. Just there's something about the freedom of playing with our emotions in a safe container that's utilized to creatively tell a story, that I think that's the key. Because even when I watch movies, I'll look at it from a like filmmaking standpoint, but I also
hmm.
still love to dive into the story and let my emotions come up and feel that. And it's a beautiful thing. So I think that's the thing that really lands for me, is the emotional play and like the subtle ways of creative expression, like ways that it's not just dialogue. You get to play with ways that we actually communicate beyond words, and that stuff
Hmm.
is cool to play with too. So those would be like that. I guess that whole kind of frame of reference would be my favorite aspect of it.
So now I know you've been acting for a long time. A lot of people that are, new fans of yours probably know you from Sister, but I remember waking up, seeing you on everything. I was like, dang, he's doing it. Oh, he's doing this. Oh, dang, okay. Your resume is extensive. People just don't
Legit.
know it yet. They're
Right.
they're
True.
probably gonna know
True.
it now because now they're gonna research it because of Tyler Perry. but
For real.
but now with that being said, a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Because I'm getting into acting and stuff as well now, and I've been doing acting classes and I'm loving
Nice.
it. But the hardest part that I've noticed is people are very selfish with their information. And I mean like selfish, like you something as simple as, how do you get an agent? or like, what do you, and it's just like, I have no problem with researching. I've been in, my own other businesses for over 15 years. So researching is not my issue. It's more so knowing what to do and what angle to go. Like, did you have a struggle as far as getting an agent, or you just kind of freestyled everything yourself when you started?
I kind of freestyled it, honestly, and then I connected with some people along the way. So when I first got into it, the first 2 years of being in acting was literally just me on my own. I was researching stuff on the internet and finding independent films that were casting, and and that was literally how I built up my initial kind of independent film resume. Is and at that time there was a lot more productions happening in Florida, where now it's kind of dried up with the incentive package, but now that there's so much in Georgia, we just keep pumping work up there. So I'm down to go that way. But when
did you get a spot up here in Georgia?
No, but I have a bunch of friends up there still, and so I usually would crash with them because they stay near. Some of them stay near the studio, so it's a space to be. But obviously, the last we were just up there shooting season 2, but we were obviously quarantined on set, so we just stayed on the property this time around. But I have a bunch of friends.
That was dope.
Oh, it was really cool. Like it's an interesting experience all the way around, but it was really dope to stay on the lot and even in like off time, kind of explore it, and everything has to offer because it's massive. It was cool.
I was lucky enough. I was blessed one time to actually do makeup on the set for one of the. Actually, I did it for Sisters. I didn't get to see you.
Oh
but
I wasn't around. I remember you sent me the message, and I was like, "Oh, dope!" But there was no way I was gonna get to where you were. That was so cool.
And so I know Bridget Kreider. She's one of the makeup artists there as well. And then it's Sarita. So I'm working with Bridget, and I'm like, Bridget, where is he at? She's like, I don't know. Do you know how big this lot is? Like,
yeah, legit. It's huge. It's huge.
It is the most, like, people can say what they want to say about Tyler Perry, but when I say just being in the presence of his property just makes you feel like all things are possible.
100%.
100%. Like, you can hate on him, you can say what you want, but just from what he has built, I can't say nothing negative about him.
Yeah, and it's been dope, and to personally be involved in it now, like, and I guess I'll finish this thought, and I'll still go back to complete your question. But to be in it personally now, it's like I have a greater appreciation, but a clear understanding on his approach. Because I remember early on when he first took off, like I was highly entertained by the movies and all those things, and I felt like it was kind of the same formula. And so there's things I enjoyed and some projects I didn't.
Right.
But when I met him and got on this project and see the way he works and what he's built, it was like so clear to me.
Oh yeah.
And all I felt was just this immense gratitude and inspiration and appreciation for what he's done and what he does as a person, because he's still very personable, considerate of everyone around him, and he still works his ass off, and he's constant. He's a machine with it. And so to see and it's his approach that allowed him to now own the largest studio, you know what I mean, in the country.
I'm telling
by himself. Like, it's dope. And then have a solid team. So I have nothing but respect and appreciation for what he's built and his wherewithal and insight of how to go about building it.
Right.
Because a lot of people just see things from the outside in, and they don't understand the journey and why.
When you get in, when you look, if I look like opening the gates of heaven, when you get behind the gates, you're like, yo, what is this?
Legit. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. And it's not only the largest, it's gorgeous. Like, it's beautiful. Even because, being in some of the studios in LA and then being on his, it's so, and obviously it's new, but and it used to be the old army base, but it's just so, because it's Georgia, so it's green and lush, and the design of the building, it's beautiful. So it's a really dope experience, and nothing but respect and love and appreciation of him in the way that he does his thing, and the love he has for us has been really cool.
What I'm amazed about is how fast he works, because I know you've been on other sets, so you're like, wait a minute, we're done? And you're like, yep. You're like, wait a minute, we've only been here for a couple hours. Like, yeah, and you're done.
Yeah.
And like on to season 3, like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
How does that, man? Listen.
It's like a boot camp. It's like an acting boot camp. You just go.
This machine is not even like he is RoboCop.
Yeah, for real. And it's funny because it demands us like get on your shit, because you don't want to be the one that messes up the flow of energy. So you're like, dude, I gotta get on it. Gotta know my lines. Gotta stay atop. And it's like the rate at which he shoots. I mean, think about it, we shot. In 2 weeks, we shot the entire season 2. You know what I mean? Like of an hour-long series, 22 episodes.
Right.
In 2 weeks, like, with a day off and another day that we were delayed because we were waiting for results of testing. So like,
Yeah.
and really like less than 2 weeks. So it's amazing. It's amazing.
So how was that actually getting that gig? Like, was it a hard process, or it was just like you go in, you film, and then they decide whether they like you or not?
Yeah, yeah, it was no different than the other processes I've been on. It was I submitted it, I auditioned on video from
Hmm.
here, submitted it through my agent, and then went up for the callback, did the callback live, and then like I think a week or two later got the call that booked the role and was like, all right, let's go,
I
and it
know
was
that's
cool.
right.
Yeah.
What I do love about your character, it's like, I mean, because I know you personally, it's not far from like, not necessarily, it's not you, but I can see elements of you, why you work so well with that character.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
So like, you're not a
Yeah.
preacher, but at the same
Right.
time, you do have elements that fit perfectly for you.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's
And
easy to connect in that way. And I guess and to answer your last question, yeah, it was when I first got in, those first two years of getting into acting, everything was on my own. I would watch like DVD or director commentary on DVDs and movies to get understanding and insights. I would watch Inside the Actor Studio, different interviews with actors about role stuff. I would look and research how to get on mailing lists to get information about like script writing and acting. And so I just did all of that. And then after like I think the third independent film I was on, the people that were on there were telling me about different agents in South Florida, because it didn't even, when I started, it didn't even occur to me about like getting an agent. And so they brought that to my awareness. So then through another friend that got with some new agency that was out here, I just locked in with them and then started booking more stuff, and but still kept getting work on my own too. So I would have the agent where you get some work, and then I would still keep doing the stuff that I wanted to do. And that was pretty much the whole MO for my journey, was been like things I get on my own and then stuff with the agent. But it was initial groundwork of tapping in and researching where to go to get that,
Yeah, because the hardest thing for me, like I said, is trying to get know where to go. But I mean, I've been behind the scenes for so long, I kind of know how to finesse and get where I need to go.
For sure.
But at the same time, it's like the reel. Like, you can't submit without a reel. Just like, okay, yeah, you're a pretty person. But if we can't know if you can act, what difference does it make? Exactly. And now people's like, feel like you can get a cheat code. So like, I don't have a problem doing independent films and stuff like that. But I'm like, I can't see doing an independent film for a meal and a coat. Like, I still have bills to pay.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So it's like, it has to make all the way sense for me to say, oh yeah, I got time to do that. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So I'm like, if I was going to say I'm going to do a cheat code, because I've been in marketing with my own business for so long, I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just grab one of my videographer friends and just create my own reel?
100%.
Problem solved.
Yo, exactly. Like now we have, especially the way we have technology, it's so easy to do that stuff. Like,
look, I even got my own camera now. I almost want to do it myself. You know.
You can, like, what I did with some of my friends too early on, and this is even before social, like the surge of social media. We would literally just write a quick scene and act a scene, and then we just have it. You know what I mean? And then I would do monologues and just perform monologues and hit different points of emotion and just offer that. And as I was building up the reels. So yeah, it's like, as long as if you're creative enough, you're gonna find a way.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? And that's really
what
what it
I
comes
do.
down
So I'm like, if I can't if I can't go to the front, I'm going to the back. Let's go.
100%.
All right, so now I have questions that I normally ask. Now these are called my DAQs, and I know you're like, what the hell is DAQ? Dumbass questions. All right, so.
Solid. I honor that.
My next question is, what is the most useless talent that you have?
The most useless talent? That's amazing. I've never been asked that question. I love it. I love it. The most useless talent I have. I can, you know what? Have you ever done the thing? Well, I guess I'll say I can do the thing where I make my tongue look like a flower, like that. I can do that. That's a useless talent.
This is true.
That works. Useless.
That'll work.
That's a talent. I'll take that.
Okay. Next question. What is the dumbest way you've been injured?
Dumbest way I've been injured. What silly, stupid things have I done where I hurt myself doing it? You know what? One time I was taking a power nap, and now I won't go into the extra of this, but just I was sleeping, And in the power nap, I saw myself wake up and like stand up and roll my ankle and fall. And then I woke up and my leg was numb, like it was asleep. So it wasn't punctured probably. And I stood up and rolled my ankle and it like swelled up. Actually, it actually happened. And that probably was like the silliest.
That was your premonition to say wake
yeah,
all
it was
the way
like,
up.
wake all the way up, but don't move yet. Just wake up. But I was like, yeah, it's fine. And I literally did what I saw. And it was like so silly to me, especially being an athlete and doing like and being a stunt dude too. And the things I do in my life, they're just crazy. But I rolled my ankle waking up from a power nap one time.
Now you said stunt dude, so you do stunts too?
Yeah, I mean, not as much as I used to, but when I first started, I was diving into both, doing like stunt work, and I've done stunts and acting on Burn Notice and on other shows, and even stunts in commercials, and that was something I do because that's like, I love mixing it up and being active. So
now, I mean, I know stunt work is hard though. Isn't that like difficult? Like you got to know how to fall and make sure you don't break anything. And
100%. And I mean, even I didn't take it to because I still act and that was the priority. There's still things I wouldn't do to the degree of like I have a lot of friends who are stuntmen and stunt women. And so they'll do like, the car crashes and rolls and crashing in boats and all this stuff. And they've broken all kinds of bones and limbs. And for me, I've done fights. I've done like, explosions, falls, and being shot and squibs and all that stuff. But it's really fun. But it's important to understand the dynamics of physics and the human body. And so that you know how to fall without hurting yourself. You know how to do wire. Like, so if I'm doing wire work, which I've done too, like getting hit and with wires being flipped and knowing how to fall in a way that still looks dramatic, but you don't injure yourself and, and being prepped. So there's all of that stuff. You have to be willing to mix it up and be bruised. And everyone that's stunt dudes out there like that, they love the adrenaline and of that aspect. And so I just like mixing it up and things. And when you're acting, there's certain scenes that can be highly volatile. That's why you would have some people. But even those, if there's a way for me to do it myself, I'll still be like, I can do it. I can do it because I like that. I want to feel that tactileness, but it can be intense.
You better than me. I'm not. Listen, I'm getting up in age. I ain't gonna do all that. I had a homegirl say, "Hey, we're going to." She was having a roller skating party, and I was like, "Oh man, I ain't been roller skating a long time." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go." And I was like, "Wait a minute. If I fall, break my ankle, or hurt my wrist, I ain't gonna be able to do makeup no more. You know what? I can't go." I got bills to pay. I ain't got time to play with that. I'll give her a birthday card and go on about my business because I ain't trying to fall.
That's funny. Yeah.
All right, my last dumbass question. Would you legally change your name to Stinking Ass for $2 million?
Would I legally change my name to Stinking Ass for $2 million? Nah. that's a hard no for me. Even for $2 million, because I'm gonna make $2 million. Like I'll get there. I'm not even worried about making $2 million. My life.
I mean, they can just call you F.A. I'm just saying though, right?
When I think about like a reference point for my brand, something about Stinking Ass doesn't quite live in the integrity of my brand. So I'm gonna have to say a hard no.
See, they didn't say you could abbreviate it. You know what I'm saying? You could have been like, hey, yeah, give me that $2 million. Just call me SA. You ain't got to know what it stands for.
Look,
they abbreviate everything. WAP. I mean, come on.
I have to create like an abbreviation with it. So I don't know.
Yeah, I would just tell them my name is SA and what does it stand for? Don't even worry about that.
Don't worry about that. You asking too much questions. You asking too many questions. Yeah, exactly. Leave it a mystery. You asking too many questions.
Because I would tell you, look, that song hit WAP, and my mom was like, "What does that stand for?" I said, "Oh, Mama, that stands for We Are Praying." Come on now, because I'm not trying to explain that to you and why it is what it is.
I love it.
All right, so the last little portion of my segment is called Kiss or Diss. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw out some celebrity crushes, and you're going to decide whether you're going to kiss or diss.
Interesting. Okay.
All right, Kelly Rowland or Lala Anthony? Who you kissing? Who you dissing?
Oh man, I mean, I would say off top because I've never met Lala in person. I met Kelly Rowland in person and saw her actually for the first time in person at Tyler Perry's grand opening. She's gorgeous in person. See, I would kiss her, but I wouldn't automatically. But I'll go with the game. I would automatically diss Lala, but I would definitely kiss Kelly Rowland for sure.
Okay. Next one, Jill Scott or Jasmine Sullivan? Who you kissing? Who you dissing?
I love Jill Scott. I love her.
All right. Angelina Jolie or J-Lo. Who you kissing? Who you dissing?
There probably was a time I would have said Angelina Jolie for a kiss, but I'm J-Lo. J-Lo.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean they both look nice, but J-Lo is aging like fine wine. She like, look,
Legit.
I'm still 20.
For real. Legit.
All right, and last but not least, Tracy Chapman or Whoopi Goldberg? Who you kissing? Who you dissing?
Tracy Chapman and Whoopi Goldberg. You know what? For the sake of new experience and different, because I also appreciate her, I'm gonna say kiss Whoopi Goldberg.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Because the natural inclination would be like I would think like Tracy Chapman because she's attractive, cute, and Whoopi's like I don't know, she's Whoopi. She's her own beingness, and I'd be down to kiss Whoopi Goldberg.
Okay.
Legit.
That was a first for me.
Legit. Yeah, I'm sure everyone else is going to. I was like, you know what? No, I'm following my heart on this one. Whoopi.
But no,
Whoopi,
you have your own
that's
preference.
my
I'm saying
peoples.
I've asked that question before, and some of the answers have been very interesting.
That's funny. Legit.
Okay, so I have two more questions and we out this thing. What was some advice that someone gave to you that you soon learned was dumb advice?
What did advice someone give me that I thought was wise that then I realized was stupid?
Yeah.
You know what? Without question, and I would sing this at the top of a mountain for everyone to understand this. Thinking that it wasn't okay or makes me less of a man to be vulnerable around a woman.
Okay.
Receiving the idea that you got to keep your guard up and be tough. When I think about the way that I've evolved past that and the experience I've had with women, being able to open my heart and connect in ways that I kept my guard up because I was afraid to be vulnerable and connect, it's night and day. It's not even close. And that advice of thinking that in order for me to be some kind of whatever I thought being a man was like, nah, don't be all soft to getting this around, around girls. Like, that advice sounded cool at the time. Important human connection really is. That's just really dumb.
Okay, for some reason you froze up at that part. So like I heard you say it sounded good at the time, and then after that it just kind of
it was super silly. It was like where it sounded dope at the time because of the idea of what I thought it meant to be a man at the time. And then when I think about the drama, conflict, and ways that I wanted to be able to connect with women, but instead of not knowing how to express myself that way, it be like missing the mark.
Right.
It was like there was really dope relationships that I would have loved to have fostered better had I had the insight that it was way more worth it to open your heart and be vulnerable than it is to act hard.
Now, aren't you glad you learned that? And and now that you have a child, so now you can tell him the right way.
Exactly. Exactly. And in the community, like, and with what I teach in my practice, like I talk about how vulnerability is such a source of our strength if we understand what it really is. So that piece of wisdom is
now
paramount.
it's funny that you say that because a lot of men are taught that, but with this new day and age, women are kind of taught like that as well. Because I'm saying, like, for example, I always tell people, if you have a single mother household, not all cases, but in most cases, the mother raises the child to be independent, don't depend on no man or whatever, because that's what she went through. But then she raises the son to be a mama's boy. So now we have a problem. You know what I'm saying? So now you got a man that ain't gonna step up to the plate and do what he's supposed to do because he's raised to be a mama's boy. But then when it comes to the woman, now we're like, oh, we don't need no man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. And I guess when hearing you say that, the idea of understanding the healthy dynamic of knowing how to tell everyone, know how to know who you are as a person in your own sovereignty and your independence, and be willing to open your heart to others to create stronger connections, even if you experience hurt in the process. Like, don't let that phase you. Just be clear on who you are so you know how to be resilient enough to pick yourself up from there and not like think that I don't ever want to do that again because you don't know how to process your emotions. So yeah, I feel you on that, because it is. And part of that too, like, because women naturally, that especially if they're feminine led, when feminine essence is what kind of guides you initially, even though everyone has both masculine and feminine, you're naturally attuned to feel your emotions. But if no one's ever guided you and taught you how to actually like process them and harness them, and you wouldn't know, then that narrative comes like, don't be giving in your emotions. You better suppress that shit and just maintain and go forward. Where it's like, actually feel them. Just don't don't go crazy on them. Just process it and then take more command. Like, it's like that kind of thing. So I feel you that message to women too can be misleading, and it disrupts relationship dynamics across the board. Because even men knowing that you can still be a man and feel, just you don't have to dwell on that side and not own up to your own warriorness, and in both respects for men and women in that regard. So yeah, I feel you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I always it was a phrase that I think it was Jamie Foxx. I don't know if it was his quote, but I remember him saying it, and it made so much sense. When it comes to the male and female dynamic, he said, women don't they don't break, they bend. And then when the man gets hurt, they break. So it's like, it takes him, like, for example, if he's in a relationship and the girl cheated, it really breaks them down to the point where it's like, it's going to be a minute before he's ready to even open up again. A woman, we get hurt and we're like, dang, we're upset about it. And then we go through our emotions, because we deal with our emotions immediately. And then then it's like, okay, now I'm done. Like you don't want to say compartmentalize, but it's like, if we deal with it now and get it out, then it's kind of like, now when we move forward, we're not even thinking about it anymore because we've got it all out. But men will sit there and just keep on just hurting. And then they'll finally say, okay, I guess she's okay. Let me try it.
For real, because it's interesting when you think about that dynamic, that being taught that emotions are weakness would mean we would naturally want to suppress them. So then if we do feel hurt and we don't go, let me acknowledge I feel hurt, we just walk with that shit and it just eats at us. And that's why, so I 100%, and it feels that way. Yep.
Yeah, it's really it. And all the other quote I heard, it was one of my little stupid friends, and it was so funny. But I said, it's so funny, I almost want to put it on a shirt, but I don't know how well that would be received. And he said, men don't heal, they hoe. I was like, you know what? That is so freaking true. And I want to put it on a shirt so bad, but I don't know how.
That's funny.
That's be received, but I'm like, if that is not the most factual thing I've ever heard in my life.
That's funny.
But it is what it is. All right, so we always leave with a good little motivation. So what would be some words of wisdom that you would give anybody that's trying to come up in the industry, whether it be acting, stuntman, author, whatever?
Make knowing who you are a priority. Because if you step into this type of industry where it doesn't have a very solid reference point of like well-being,
right,
you have to be able to establish that for yourself, so that when you deal with adversity in this industry, when you deal with certain conflicts in this industry, when you deal with certain dynamics that will demand you be resilient, you don't lose a sense of who you are beyond it. If you can understand your value regardless of anything outside of you, you will be in a far greater position of winning and like succeeding exponentially without being like consumed in the industry. And that also keeps you stronger and disciplined to see things through when the going gets a little bit more intense along the way. So I would say take time to be and it's an ongoing thing. Obviously, there's always more to discover about ourselves, but keep wanting to know more about what it means to be you and having a clear sense of self a priority every day of your life all the way through.
All right, sounds good to me. Now make sure you tell them how they can find you on social media, how they can find your upcoming book, and all that good stuff.
Legit. So you can find me on social media. I go by Source Radiance, and that's me on Instagram at Source Radiance, Twitter at Source Radiance, my YouTube Source Radiance, and you can sign up for my mailing list through my website. That you can go to sourceradiance.com and it'll take you to Unlimited Creative Potential, and sign up on my mailing list so that you can get the newsletters and stay updated when the book drops, when other things I'm involved in are going on, or when I'm launching my next like courses and classes. You can rock with me on all of that. Also on Facebook, Source Radiance. And I don't use Facebook as much as I used to anymore, and I would like to probably improve that because I've been getting behind on everything in Facebook that I can take advantage of.
Yes, you do. You do.
Yeah, right?
I'm a witness.
So yeah, for real. So I'll get on that. And but yeah, those are ways you guys can rock with me and would love to connect. So I appreciate the love. Appreciate you having me on.
Not a problem.
Legit.
All right. So that has been another episode of Motivation Monday.
Hey.